In the opening scene, we see the protagonist Trish working on a wedding shoot. Finishing with work at the studio, Trish heads back to the office to pitch her idea to her boss and hopes that she'll promote her to a writer. As she gets back to the office, she is scared to meet with the boss, but she decides to go in and take her chance. Her boss doesn't like any of her ideas, claiming that they're just variations of what they've already done. She knows that Trish wants to become a future writer, but she isn't proving that to her. Asking her whether she's about to leave for her 3 weeks off, Helen comes up with a genius idea. Given that Trish is going to 3 weddings in 1 month, Helen asks her to write about the weddings from her own point of view, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Wanting the promotion badly, Trish agrees to write the article, despite hating weddings. She packs her things, despite her colleague warning her that her writing is going to end disastrously, because she'll have no time to write. Trish drives off to her hometown. She visits her best friend Sean first, who jokes about her high school experience right away. As they sit down, she tells him the big news, and he couldn't be more excited. However, he warns her that she'll have to ask Michelle for permission, but she urges him that he needs to help her. Unfortunately, there is no way for him to help, since he'll be going on a business trip. Realizing that she'll be alone through the festivities, Trish begs him not to leave her, but he assures her that his brother Ryan will be of great help. She asks about his parents, and he reveals that they won't be arriving until the day before the wedding, which only means that she and Ryan will be stuck together. Later in the afternoon, we see Trish going to a launch party hosted by her friends. There, she catches up with all of her friends from high school. One of her old friends, June, stops to say hello and asks Trish to join her shopping. But that is just the beginning, as her other friend chimes in to remind her that she needs to do wine tastings, bridesmaid fittings, reception rehearsals, and then the weddings themselves. Michelle joins them as well, and immediately she starts talking about her wedding. Given that Trish doesn't have a date, she suggests getting one of her husband's interns to go with her, since being alone at a table can be embarrassing. Sean defends her and Michelle realizes that she's been insensitive. They ask her about her job, and she reveals that it is hectic, but she loves it. She asks Trish the same, and knowing that she might not take it lightly, Trish suggests they sit down. No, is all she says, after Trish suggests her idea in the most thoughtful way possible. Concerned that the article might make them look ridiculous, Michelle says that there's no point in writing an article. Another thing she's wondering is how Trish got assigned the wedding subject, when she's allergic to them. Caught in a corner, she does admit to not having the best opinion about them, but promises to write about the event positively. Although it takes some convincing, Michelle finally agrees to it when the whole group begs her. They get up to dance, and as the couples dance together, Trish is left alone with her notebook to document every step. After getting a drink from the bar, she is stopped by Peter, who asks her to play his and Jane's high school dance song at the wedding. Heading back to her table, she is stopped by Carrie, an old friend of hers. Carrie starts immediately attacking her with questions about her date at the wedding. Having had enough of it, she tells her that she does have a date, and that is when Ryan comes into the room. Carrie couldn't be more excited, but Trish excuses herself just to get away from the chaos. Ryan comes to greet her, and given that she already said that he was going to be her date, she makes sure to hug and kiss him before she pulls him to the dance floor. She apologizes for being abrupt, but reveals that she feels pressured to do so, as they're each other's dates for the weddings. Changing the subject, she asks about his trip, only to be interrupted by Peter. His soon-to-be wife tells Ryan about Trish's article, and he jokes about her date being the high school classmate she barely remembers. She tells him that she might leave that part out of the article, before thanking him for the dance and leaving. The next morning, we see Sean packed and ready to go on his business trip, when he sees Trish up and early. She complains about the many tasks she has as a bridesmaid, when Ryan walks in. Trish apologizes for behaving abruptly the previous night, admitting to being too defensive when it comes to having a partner at weddings. He assures her that it's fine, and even suggests they go to the weddings separately, for there not be any tension. Realizing that she's late to the bridal shower, Trish packs her things quickly, and as she tries to leave, she bumps into the refrigerator door. Hearing a crack, she already knows that the vinyl is broken, reaching into her bag and taking out 2 pieces. Given that weddings have to go perfectly as planned, Ryan advises her to get a new copy, and given that she bumped into him, he feels somewhat responsible, so he tells her to meet him at the store in 2 hours. At the bridal shower, the girls keep asking Trish about Ryan, so she tells them that they'll be going separately, but sitting together at the weddings. Trish soon excuses herself, saying that she has some things to take care of, before running out of the hotel to get to Ryan. He arrives on a motorcycle, and as they head down the sidewalk, he reveals that the song is very hard to find. They visit the vinyl shop first, and while the seller is impressed by the rare piece, he unfortunately doesn't have it in the store. With a lot of hope, they head to the thrift store, but have no luck there either. Ryan finds a copy online and calls the guy selling it, to ask whether he can keep it for them. Not wanting to go through all the trouble, Trish asks if they could just apologize to Peter and Jane and move on, but Ryan doesn't want to give up. He gets up to head to the city, but she stops him, reminding him that it's her responsibility. However, he promises to be back just in time for the wedding, reminding her that she can't be absent, given that she's the bridesmaid. The following day, we are taken to Jane and Peter's wedding venue. Trish is concerned as the wedding is about to begin, but Ryan is nowhere to be seen. As they're decorating the seats, she and Laura talk about the direction of the article. Given that Trish wants to write about the difficulties of weddings and wedding planning, Laura relates to the topic and even complains about it being too much. Realizing that her friend might need someone to talk to, Trish stops what she's doing and focuses her attention. Knowing that she already has a lot on her plate, Laura promises that everything's fine as they get back to decorating. The ceremony soon begins, and Trish can't seem to relax, as there's no trace of Ryan. Jane and Peter say their I do's and become husband and wife. At the reception, Trish still can't see Ryan anywhere. As they're about to have their first dance, Trish feels obliged to tell Peter the truth. But as the song starts, she realizes that she doesn't need to. The exact love song that Peter wanted plays, and Jane couldn't be happier. Looking at the DJ booth, Trish sees Ryan waving at her. Later, we see Trish and Ryan engaging in a casual conversation. Trish asks about his next destination as a photographer, and he reveals that he wants to photograph the Aurora Australis, but doesn't hold his breath on it, given that there's always been a lot of setbacks. He was supposed to go away before, but his girlfriend at the time didn't want him to go, so they broke up. Carrie and her boyfriend approach them, suggesting that they should dance. After some time, Peter calls all the single ladies to catch the bouquet. Despite not wanting to do it, Trish gets to the crowd, as Michelle threatens her not to cooperate on the article if she doesn't go. However, it is not a single lady that catches the bouquet, but a single Ryan. Everybody laughs in amusement as Ryan stands there embarrassed, so Trish assures him that we'll be going in the article. The next morning, we see Ryan walking out on the deck where Trish is working. He admits to struggling to come up with ideas for his best man speech, so she decides to give him an idea of her own. Instead of writing a speech, she suggests he does what he's good at, which is photography. The idea gets Ryan thinking. Realizing that she's going to be late, Trish jumps out of her seat and runs off to go to Michelle's. As she's helping her fold some clothes, Rod chimes in, asking whether Trish knows about London. Immediately annoyed, Michelle reveals that Rod has gotten an offer to work in London. However, they're trying to figure out what to do, because Michelle can't work as a lawyer in London. They go back and forth, bickering about their jobs and whether they can do long distance. Trish assures her friend that they'll be fine, as they'll eventually figure it out. Speaking of work, Trish gets a call from her colleague. Trish has a chance to be in the August feature. Despite it being something that her colleague is not supposed to tell her, she motivates her to focus and work to finish the article on time. We're taken to the wine testing next, where we see Trish and Ryan sitting together. While they taste delicious wines, Ryan asks her about her goal as a writer when she gets the job. Trish reveals that she wants to write articles that will challenge people. He hands her a wine that tastes like blackberries, and she likes it so much that she considers grabbing a few bottles to take to New York. Despite traveling and living in hotel rooms mostly, Ryan reveals that he has a small apartment in New York that he pays rent for, therefore, it's his home. Later in the day, as Trish is walking along the sidewalk, she gets a call from Rod, frantically asking where Michelle is. Trish asks him to calm down and promises to find her. And she does, at the ranch petting horses. Shockingly, she reveals that the wedding's off. Before they arrive at the house, we see Ryan searching for hobbies, when he gets the idea to search for Trish on the internet. He comes across many interesting titles that make him laugh. Coming to the door, they ask him whether Michelle can stay, and he assures Michelle that she always has a place at their house. Pacing back and forth, Michelle opens up about the problem. Admitting to sometimes being insensitive, she reveals that she bluntly blurted out to Rod that she doesn't want to go to London with him. The whole thing turned into a heated argument, resulting in Rod calling her a control freak about the wedding. However, Michelle is confused as to why it bothers him now, when he used to love that about her. One thing led to another, and Michelle suggested calling the wedding off. Trish and Ryan assure her that things will get back to normal, and that their fight is just a result of them being stressed. As Michelle heads to bed, Trish suggests they try to get them back together because they love each other. Coming up with an idea, Trish suggests they return them to a time when they were their best selves, and find a way to replicate the first time they fell in love. They don't know how to do it, but she assures him that she'll figure it out by the morning. The following morning, we see a distraught Michelle admitting to Trish that she's been crying the whole night. Part of not wanting her to do the article was because she was afraid of the outcome. Bride number 2 ran away from the wedding. Unfortunately for her, it is the day of her dress fitting, and knowing that it won't be easy for her, Trish lets her know that she'll be by her side the whole time. She lies about forgetting the laptop at the guest house, only to get out and call Ryan. Trish shares her plan with Ryan, asking him to bring Rod to Di Marco's to fix things, while she brings Michelle for a drink. Seeing each other will give them a chance to reconnect and remember their love for each other. After the fitting, we see the girls excitedly walk out of the shop, thinking that everything's fine. Trish tells them that she'll be going with Michelle, so they leave. Michelle doesn't know what she's in for as they arrive at Di Marco's. Immediately, she remembers all the times she and Rod would shut up shop together, ending their shift. Rod walks out, and she is surprised to see him. Trish thanks Ryan for helping her with the idea, not taking him as a romantic. He hints that he's been romanticizing coming back home and starting a new life as he hands her his helmet. Realizing what he's trying to do, she refuses, but he eventually manages to convince her to get on the bike. Sitting in the rain, she struggles to continue writing her article, not sure about the direction of it. He advises her to have patience, as he struggles through some of his assignments as well. He thinks that she should wait for the perfect moment. The perfect image will show itself to her. Their conversation is interrupted by Rod and Michelle running up to them. Trish and Ryan are happy to see them together, thinking that the wedding is back on. However, they reveal that the wedding is still off, because they love their jobs too much to give them up. However, since the reception is paid off, there will be a party celebrating their perfect match, wrong timing party. No matter how bizarre the thing is, it does end up happening. Trish puts on a pretty pink dress that wows Ryan before they get into his family's old Cadillac. On their way there, Trish admits to feeling like a failure, as she went from not liking weddings to feeling sad that the wedding won't happen. She also isn't sure about the perfect timing and whether it will come, but Ryan assures her that it will. At the party, everyone seems to be disapproving of the fact that they're not getting married, calling the whole thing an embarrassment. Trish gets asked about the article, but she doesn't know what to say exactly. As Michelle runs off to greet the other guests, Trish finds Laurel crying in a corner. There are no gluten-free cupcakes for their wedding, and it's a problem because Laurel's sister is allergic to gluten. Realizing that the cupcakes are not the main problem, Trish asks Laurel what's really upsetting her. Laurel admits to feeling lonely and can't believe that Sean has left her alone to plan everything, just because he can't say no to his boss. Trish assures her that she's doing an amazing job, but Laurel fears that's what their marriage will be, and that Rod and Michelle made the right decision. Scared that the third wedding is about to fail, Trish leaves a voice note to Sean, demanding he calls Laurel right away and resolves the issue. Going up to Ryan, she admits to feeling stressed out, so he offers her a great solution, sweeping her off to dance. He admits to missing being home with his family, celebrating and making memories. They embrace each other as they dance, watched by Carrie and Laurel, who are more than thrilled to see them together. The next morning, Trish receives a text from Helen, asking for a status update on the article. Feeling defeated, Trish calls Helen to tell her that she's resigning from continuing the article, as it isn't what she wanted it to be. However, Helen lets her know that she can't back down from the article, as she doesn't hand out features like candy. She lets her know that hard work needs to be adapted to before hanging up on her. Trish meets with Ryan, and they drive to the gathering together. Seeing Sean there, she tells Ryan she's going to talk to him first. She still can't believe that he left her alone to handle the wedding stuff. Trish admits to being skeptical about marriages just for those reasons, not wanting to deal with pain or problems. Sean advises her that forgiveness is the only way through it. Later into the gathering, Ryan sees Trish writing something in her notebook. She lets him know that she's writing down her ideas so she doesn't forget them. An idea comes to him as well. They get to some paddle boards and head to the lake to enjoy the view. Reminding her that their moment got ruined on the deck, he suggests it is the perfect moment to make up for it, and she agrees. Looking deeply into each other's eyes, they lean in and finally share a passionate kiss. As Michelle is talking to Laurel, she spots them in the far distance, and soon everyone joins to watch them. Later in the evening, as Sean enters the kitchen, he sees an upset Ryan. Ryan lets him know that the call for Australis has finally been approved, but Sean notices that he's not happy. It's the wrong timing, as he has to be there the following day, the same time as Sean's wedding. Sean assures him that it's fine, since it has been a lifelong dream of his. However, there's only one thing Sean asks him, and that is not to play with Trish, and to come clean with her. After talking to his brother, Ryan tells Trish the news. She is surprised, but respects his decision, as she knows that it's been a passion of his. Hopeful, he asks her whether she'll be willing to try things out once he comes back, but surprisingly, she refuses him. These 3 weeks have changed her, and now she values things more, so being sad because he'll be gone for a few months now and then is not what she wants. However, instead of being sad, she advises him to be happy because both of their biggest wishes had come true. The following morning, before the wedding of Laurel and Sean, Trish finishes up and sends the article to her boss. At the ceremony, she walks down the aisle with Ryan, who lets her know that she's beautiful. At the reception, Trish scans the hall in hopes of seeing Ryan, when Carrie comes over to tell her that she's engaged. Carrie asks where Ryan is, and while Trish is explaining that it's fine for him to follow his dreams, he appears behind Carrie. Confused and worried, she tells him that he's going to miss his flight, but he doesn't seem worried and gets on stage to give his speech as the best man. It seems that he has taken Trish's advice, as pictures follow up as he talks about Sean and Laurel's journey. Given that Sean experienced his full potential after meeting Laurel, it taught Ryan that success is best when shared with someone you love. A home that you'll be excited to get back to, or may never want to leave, because of that special person. Raising his glass, he asks everyone to toast to Sean and Laurel. Trish goes to the stage and reflects on what she's learned from all 3 of the couples while writing the article. Although she learned a lot from every couple, she learned the most from Sean and Laurel, the most important lesson of all, forgiveness. She thanks all of them for teaching her valuable lessons, and feels ready for the first time to take a risk and fall in love. Finally, she raises a glass and toasts not just Sean and Laurel, but all the couples. Sean and Laurel have their first dance, and all the couple join in as well. Trish thanks Ryan for staying, taking a chance, and helping her realize what she's been missing in her life. However, he claims it is she who helped him realize what he could have lost if he left. They share a passionate kiss, finally truly together. Sean and Laurel take off on their honeymoon, but before they do, Trish receives the best news ever and can finally call herself a writer. Everyone celebrates in the name of love and success. Laurel even throws her bouquet to Trish. Love and joy fill the atmosphere as Trish and Ryan share a kiss.